Charles here locally in the community. Make sure y'all go check out Kneecap Body by Jeremy Smokin.
Good morning, everybody. It's Lions Talk with Smokin, Jeremy B, and Dan Von Doom Lenner. How's everybody doing this morning?
Oh, we're doing just fine, JB. How are you doing?
I'm doing fan-fucking-tastic. We got Fred Peterson and Dwayne Keene in the house. Let's go this morning. Henry Gray's already here. Y'all here on time. I love this stuff. That's for when they do that open mic stuff, when they do their about asking people who they follow. I pretty much know who follows who, like Jay Smooth and Steve. They're real Packers fans. They don't mind coming in here and saying, we've had a good season. They're not in here talking shit because they expected it. I respect the fans that do that because for a long time, we never thought we were doing anything. So we had to like bow and go, yes, master. I think those days are over. I think the NFC North is probably going to be one of the strongest divisions going forward for a few years.
I tend to agree with you there, man.
I mean, we beat up on each other, and for the most part, all the other teams have somewhat of a decent record against everybody else in the NFL. It's just what happens in the division is what makes the difference. It used to be just the opposite. It used to be they were lucky if the Lions would go 500 in the division and then go lose to a bunch of people, and we'd be in the basement. That's what it's been for years. That's what I've seen. And no, I'm not knocking this team. I'm knocking previous regimes, previous front offices that we had. The Millen era, the decade of despair, the Mayhew era. God knows what direction he wanted to go. Then you got Boob Quinn and Matt Patricia, which was like 3 years of miserableness. Watching good players just go, I want out after one season of playing with the guy. A coaching staff so bad they couldn't develop film if it was a old Polaroid they had to dip in the lacquer, they'd forget to dip it.
I hate Matt Patricia so much.
But you love him
I
for
hate
what he
that
did to
man.
the Eagles this year. You hate him for what he did to the Lions. You have to love him for what he did to the Eagles.
You're not wrong there. He got well, not even just him. That whole defensive coordinator was crap to begin with. Sean Desi, and he was crap. The whole team fell to shit after week 10.
So Dan Campbell was asked if he got into any film yet for San Francisco at yesterday's presser just before they started practicing. He was like, not yet. Other than a little crossover tape, I really haven't had time. We're still taking it all in that we're there. And you know what? I kind of agree with them. And then they said, what are you going to do? A walkthrough? He goes, probably. It's what we've been doing every playoff game so far. A walkthrough on Tuesday. Why would we change it? And you know what? That's brilliant because you're coming off a game. You had 1 day of rest. And guess what? Have a walkthrough. Give the guys a day where they just get a chance to breathe. Ranning Q's in the house. Henry Gray asks, "Hey Jeremy, what do you think Zach Ertz is going to bring to the Lions?" Um, Seeing as he's played for the tight ends coach we have, Steve Hyden, before, because Steve Hyden was his coach last year, and I think the year before when he first got traded to Arizona. So I think he's going to have a lot bigger of an impact than people realize. He's a willing blocker in the run game. We've seen that while he was with the Eagles and with the Cardinals, because when he decided to retire, James Conner had a game where he got demolished, and then the next thing you know, it took a game or two. Oh, Pete, Fred, you're preaching to the choir. I wasn't there, but I was watching, and I saw Bob Quinn and Sheila sitting up there in the press in the owner's box when we lost to the Texans so bad, and all I saw was her doing this and kinda had her head cocked toward Bob Quinn, and he looked like a deer caught in headlights. He knew, 'cause that game is when we were officially mathematically eliminated from the playoffs, when we were mathematically eliminated when that team took the field week 1.
Correct.
'Cause like I said, if Matt Patricia could coach his way out of a wet paper box, he'd have kept either of his last 2 jobs, and it's a good veteran presence. Like I said, he's a willing blocker in the run game. Laporta's getting better at blocking. He was not used at blocking at Iowa because he was their only offensive weapon. Their wide receivers were trash, and they had a running back. That's it. So if it wasn't a sweep to the running back or a draw play where he got free because they thought they were going to pass, it was a pass to good old Sam Laporta for the entire 3 or 4 years he was in college. You know what? They've been trying to unleash JMO. I don't know if you guys watched it, but last week he was targeted a lot to begin the game. He was actually in for about, I think it was somewhere between 65 and 72% of the snaps, because he does a great job blocking downfield in the run game as well. And everybody forgets, as good as Jameer Gibbs is, there was a block downfield by JMO again that happened before he even got there. That's how fast that kid is. When you're taking out a defender, yeah, and remember, Fred, there was like 3 semi-deep balls, where they were 10 to 20 yards, and Ranning Q says that's right, he was blocking. He That's one thing you don't have to worry about. That is why Ben Johnson said he will try to get everybody the rock that blocks, because that's what this team's about, the grit part of it, the dirty work. They want you to be able to get your hands dirty. They don't care if you're 5'7" like Khalif Raymond, or if you're 6'8" like Dan Skipper. If you wanna get on the field, you better block. Absolutely there, Fred. So, that being said, the other thing that, he was talked about was Jonah Jackson and whether he'd be available for the Super Bowl, and he said he doesn't know right now, which tells me more than likely not, and that's why we made a couple of moves yesterday again. We signed a couple practice squad players and released the practice squad cockroach for the last 3 years that has been Jameer Jefferson. Goodbye. Goodbye. I don't miss you. But, it was a guy named Funk who's been on the Rams and another squad over the last couple of years. He's been in 7 games. He's never played in any big games, but he's got a Super Bowl ring because he was active when the Rams won the Super Bowl. And then we also picked up an O lineman for depth, and which tells me Jonah Jackson's more than likely not gonna be playing the rest of the season, a lot like Brock Wright and James Mitchell. Um, Kadarius Ward is a decent. He doesn't always get burnt. The guy that the Lions should be targeting is Aubrey Thomas or Ambry Thomas, whatever his name is, the kid out of Michigan. The guy's been straight booty cheeks the last 3 or 4 weeks. He had a great PFF grade for the season. It was a 72 overall. But if you look at his last 3 games at PFF, he was like mid 70s to 80s before. In the last 3 games, it's been in the 50s, which is god awful for a corner. That's like Will Harris level. Will Harris, you know why you haven't seen him on defense? Because he's playing special teams with Chase Lucas and Khalil Dorsey, and they've been the gunners going downfield. Hello, Clara Smith.
I just thought it was because he sucks.
Well, that's why he's on special teams. Those who can't play on special teams. If they're on the active roster, that's just how it goes. And he said, "How did you change how Jared Goff handles pressure?" Jeffrey Addison, welcome in. Is Sutton playing hurt? I haven't heard about him playing hurt. I don't know where everybody got this. He's had stingers every game, man, because that happens. Those are the walk it off ones. Playing hurt and playing injured, 2 different things. Everybody said Jared Goff is playing hurt. No, he was playing stupid. I don't get why everybody thinks because somebody plays bad, oh, they must be playing hurt. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Because it's a good excuse.
Yeah, it's trying to give a player an excuse. His play is slowing down. He's slowing down because he's been struggling, David Anderson. That's what players do. If you're struggling, you try to slow the game down for yourself. You don't go as hard because you're second guessing everything you're doing when you do something wrong. If anybody's played the game, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's the quicksand theory. And even though that was from a movie, it's a real thing in sports where no matter what you do, you feel like you're doing it wrong and you're just burying yourself deeper till you can't move. That is a real thing in sports. Doesn't matter what sport it is, whether it's football, baseball, hockey, wrestling, whatever.
Life.
That happens to people. It's life. It happens in life in any workplace condition where you just feel like you just get overwhelmed. You got to sit down and reset. I don't care if he's short. You know what? That's why they've been sticking him on number 1 wide receivers. It's because he is slowing down. He is short. He is playing bad. They're bracketing everybody else. Let the number 1 eat and shut everybody down in the red zone. That's what we've done since the Denver game.
100% has been, man. Mike Evans ate. Freaking, who was it in the Denver game?
Lamb,
yeah.
Portland Sutton, right? Isn't that who it was that went off, or was it Judah?
Another the same guy. I got a question for you, man. Just random thought. What kind of fine would players get if they put on somebody else's jersey just to confuse the defense?
Oh, it's huge. And it could cost the team multiple problems. You can't do that. But it is out. We are wearing the road whites. We are 6-1 in the road whites. I'm good with it. Over the last 2 seasons, we're 6-1 in road whites. Richard Cranium. I love it. Go Lions. Almost sounds like somebody I know.
Probably.
And David Anderson, yes, that's right. I forget. Give one, not all. That's right. Let one eat. Shut down everybody else. And somebody tried to say that K. Dotton had a great game. I'm sorry, 5 catches for 61 yards and a tutty. That's an average NFL tight end game. It's nothing great. It's nothing spectacular. They're just mad because we gave up a touchdown. The first touchdown in the red zone since the Denver game. And that was 2. So 3 touchdowns in how many games now in the red zone? You can't gripe. It's been a while since we played Denver. Denver was the game right after the Chicago game. Denver was the game right after Dan Campbell said, "Oh yeah, we lost in the all whites in Dallas. That's it." Not angry, even angry about it because we got screwed. Anzalone has played both playoff games with fractured ribs. That's right. He has. How huge is it that Houston is ready to go at the perfect time? Now San Francisco has adjusted it. Yeah, okay. Sutton had to defend one Pro Bowl beast of a receiver after another last several weeks. Bend, don't break. Yeah, it's exactly what it is, Jeffrey Anderson. Because you know what? When you're playing that zone man coverage we do, where you leave the outside guys in man and you play zone everywhere else, one guy on one side or the other is going to be left in single coverage in that system. You can't help it. It's just going to happen. And they choose to let it be Sutton. Why? Because he's the best defender in the secondary we got on this team that's not a safety. So you let him try. You let him go. You say, screw it. We'll take whatever he gives up. Because once we get in the red zone, we go zone, we clamp down. The zone is so tight they can't get through. That's what we've seen. And Sutton, Melifamu, CJ, GJ, Kirby Joseph, Branch, even Vildor in the red zone looks good. Why? They're in zone coverage. They're covering a spot on the field. If the guy goes there, they get in front of him. That's what they're supposed to do.
If your linebackers cover better, that'd be a perfect setup for a freaking Tampa 2 defense.
It would be, but we're not there yet. Barnes is just starting to learn coverage this year. You know, he's never been a coverage guy. Say what you want. Go back and look at Purdue. He was a DN and made linebacker because they didn't have a choice. We saw him play linebacker 1 year, and they said, that's the guy we want. And made him be a middle linebacker when he was an outside linebacker edge guy. Square peg, round hole for 2 straight years. And until Jack Campbell got up to speed and started playing middle linebacker better, who had to start at middle linebacker because he showed growth?
Barnes.
The X-rays were negative that he rebroke the shoulder that he had surgery on this season, but there's something in there they don't like, and it's less than 50% he plays now, according to Shanahan. But I just think he's playing it close to the vest because he doesn't want to say whether he's out or in. And I personally, if it's more than a 50% chance he gets injured, I'm sitting his ass, because if you can beat a team without him one time, you're going to the Super Bowl and you can have him because he gets 2 weeks of rest after that.
But what's the chance of them beating you without him?
It goes down dramatically. I know that.
I'd probably play him and just pray to God that Kirby Joseph doesn't light him up across the middle one time.
And that's exactly who I'm putting on him. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
I'm putting Kirby on him if he plays.
Let Branch do it. He can do a dirty hit to it, and all he'll say is, fuck you, find me.
You know what? But Branch got fined and it wasn't a dirty hit. He still got flagged.
I know. And his response was, fuck it, I'll take the flag.
You know, if I have to get a fine and a flag for every great play I make that's clean, I'll take it. That is grit. That is the type of guy. That's the no turd mentality that Dan Campbell wants. And Fred Peterson, I've said the same thing. If Debo's in, let Debo eat, bracket everybody else. I don't give two shits. We play to win the game. Not to sound like Herm Edwards. I wasn't trying to imitate a voice. But that's where we're at. That's what we do. We shut down the run.
Just like him.
Did I really?
No. You're an old white dude, and he's Herm Edwards.
If I tried to play, we play to win the game. There. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. And even sitting Charles Harris and Tracy Walker like we have. Don't forget, Harris is actually the defensive lineman captain that was voted by his players.
Yeah, like whatever happened to that?
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Is somebody saying,
Saying what?
are you telling us to shut the fuck up when we're talking good about the team, James Luke? Because I don't get your comment.
Huh. Yes,
You
please
see,
clarify for someone else to shut the fuck up, buddy.
I was talking about Jack Campbell and the way he improved to make it so Barnes could move back to outside. It's a good thing for the team. But, if you don't want to accept the analysis that we've seen, that's fine. But you don't tell us to shut the fuck up on our show. That's all I got to say. I wasn't bitching about anything. Yeah, Dad, I like that helmet too. That's a Barry Sanders with a custom drip he did.
That was a long, long time ago.
It was. It was back when I first met you when you did that one, if I remember right. When you one of your first drips.
Yep. Wouldn't believe I did that with a can of spray paint, would you? I did. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing back then, man. It took me a while to get to hang everything, learning this shit on the fly.
Fred Peterson, that boy is soft. SAWFT, soft.
SAW.
You like that one?
That was the Enzo Amore line.
Mm-hmm.
People.
Anyways, Dan Campbell said Charles Harris and Tracy Walker has embraced sitting and leading the team by playing as the aggressor against our starting O line to help them with safety blitzes, corner blitzes, and defensive end blitzes. Guess who hasn't given up a sack at all the entire playoffs right now in those two games?
The fat
And
guy on the right side of the line.
it's the guy on the left side of the line.
Oh, is it?
Decker has not given up a sack. Benasul gave up one.
Yes, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry, man. I just can't believe Decker could pick up complex blitz games. He went to Ohio.
Oh, CJ Stroud proved that incorrect. Oh, that's right.
Different.
Yeah, I know. He was developed in high school before he ever got to Ohio State. Thank God, because Ryan Day can't develop Polaroid film either.
Okay. Do you know CJ Stroud used to play for Snoop Dogg's football team?
Yeah. His little league 8th to 9th grade or 6th to 8th grade team that they talked about the first years they tackled.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I knew how to post a picture of the first paint job I did on my remote control car. Dad, there's no way to post a picture into the YouTube, but you could always send it to me and I can put it in here when you want to talk about it sometime.
Talk about remote control cars. They're fun.
But the other thing is Zach Ertz, willing blocker, red zone threat. He did play in 3 games this season until James Conner got hurt and he kind of hung up the cleats then. And in those 3 games, he had 27 receptions for 127 yards and 2 touchdowns. So, and that's because he's a red zone threat. He's not much of a threat anymore. He don't have the wheels to be between the 20s like Sam Laporta. Sam Laporta will still be the main guy there. So But Ertz is going to have to add something because Brock Wright's out for the playoffs now. James Mitchell's been on the IR. He's all we got.
Could have used
I don't.
Dan Skipper.
Yeah, see, that's our third. When we need a third tight end, it'll be Dan Skipper or Taylor Decker.
They better report.
Oh, they report. What's up, guys? My friend Paul, who's a Bills fan, says he saw the Super Bowl logo for next year, and the colors are blue and yellow. Oh, so Lions versus Chargers.
Chargers versus Saints. Chargers versus Steelers. No, Steelers are AFC.
Yeah, I say you can't
Yep.
go that way, bro.
Sure, we can. Roger Goodell's in charge. Who knows?
I don't think the colors on the Super Bowl logo matters. I just think it's been lucky the last 2 years because they've had colors on the logos for years and they didn't match up. So I just think it's a convenient coincidence that people are making a conspiracy theory about. That's just my opinion.
I think the NFL has been rigged ever since they started letting Vegas get involved with it, honestly.
Vegas has been involved since the 70s.
Yeah, but the way they're promoting all the gambling and all that shit now with them, and they're partnered with them.
Oh, they're partnered with online gambling sites. I do not live in Detroit, Steve. I live in Burton, Michigan. Born and raised right here in Flint. Dan actually lives in Pennsylvania, if I remember right.
Yep, I live in East Bumfuck, Pennsylvania, buddy. I was in the sticks.
He's so far in the country, if he walks by the river, he hears banjos. Ding, 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 ding.
Depending on what night of the summer it is, sometimes you'll get to hear them at the freaking park when they're doing shows.
And Steve says, I'm in West Virginia. Oh, you do hear banjos, but that's just walking by your next door neighbor. Dwayne Keene's in Saginaw. That's awesome, Dwayne. I used to work at A1 Tire in Saginaw. Henry Gray, I live in Las Vegas, Nevada, born and raised. Yeah, tell us where you're at. Let's get to know each other. Fred Peterson is in Grand Rapids. Great area. Been there many times. Never lived there.
Long time visitor, no time resident.
Yes. No way, Dwayne. You were born right here in Burton, Flint area? That's awesome. Let's see. Were you born when St. Joe's was still around or after? Steve says I got family in Detroit and Livonia. Yeah, Livonia, the mean streets of Livonia, as Sean Belizean called it on the ticket. So I am exactly 5 days away from entering into the third year of doing podcasting on my channel. January 29th, 2022 was the first show I ever did. And it used to be kneecap biting with Smokin, Jeremy B. And then I realized I wasn't growing fast enough and I changed it to with the Motor City Lions. Battle Creek is about my dad says bumfuck Egypt. That's where I live.
Me too, buddy. Me too.
But it takes me about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours to get to Battle Creek. So let's see, at 70 miles an hour, it's about 90 to 100 miles.
My favorite pro wrestler is from Battle Creek.
Jeffrey Edison says born in Lansing and lived in Orlando for the last 25 years, and I don't blame you, Jeffrey. And Fred Peterson says Battle Creek's about 30 minutes from his house. It's about a 15 to 20-minute drive for me to get to Saginaw once I hit the expressway. And the other thing is, let's fucking go. We're making moves in the playoffs, people. Who'd have thought at the beginning of the season we were getting this far? I knew there was a shot, but did you honestly believe we were making it to the NFC Conference Championship game with a chance to go to the Super Bowl? Because I didn't see it coming.
100% RVD, Steve.
Rob Van Dam.
The whole fucking show.
And Fred Peters says, "You're damn right, Jeremy. Let's fucking go." Yes, Rob Van Dam. I hear you. I'm getting too old for all this snow shoveling crap. Yeah, thank God it got warm.
Dude, get a flamethrower like the one old guy had on TikTok the other day. He did his whole freaking driveway with the flamethrower.
Yeah, you would.
He said,
"I got this. Fuck it." I have never been as impressed with a coaching staff as I have been overall, top to bottom. Think about this. As bad as we griped about AG in the bad games, because we know we had some bad called games. You can't say he didn't. We got no pressure. The secondary was getting torched. We got beat. Jeffrey Anderson, I posted April 6th, Lions/49ers NFC. Just lucky. That's awesome. I'm glad you did. My dad says he tried the flamethrower thing and burned his tires. Why is it the Niners are always there? They're well coached, they're well disciplined, and they got a great roster top to bottom.
their GM's pretty good too.
Yeah, John Lynch is a pretty damn good GM. And unfortunately, Mayhew didn't learn how to be a decent GM till he sat behind him as an assistant.
Right?
And we all know that Antonio Pierce was retained as head coach, and last night that Tom Telesco was hired as their GM, the former GM of the Chargers. So that that job is all locked up now. Jim Harbaugh is all but signed his contract. It's looking like he's going to LA to coach the Chargers. Good luck to him.
The Packers fired defensive coordinator Joe Barry, huh?
And the Packers fired Joe Barry. And all us Lions fans can say to you Packers fans, it's about time. We fired him in 2012 for the same reason you guys are firing him 12 years later. He's not fucking good. The Packers fans should be doing the happy dance. You guys are looking for a DC. Maybe you won't start out like straight booty cheeks and in the bottom 5 of the NFL in defense to start the season, and then all of a sudden he goes, "Oh God, I'm going to lose my job. I got better start coaching." Because that's why you've been behind the sticks to start a season the last 2 years. It's Joe Barry.
You're not wrong there, man.
Man, what a great bunch of comments we've had. Well, as creative as Ben Johnson has been at times, I think he's only added plays to what Dan Campbell started calling in 2021. With AG gone, I don't know. Maybe they'll promote Kelvin Shepherd. Maybe they'll sign someone else, bring someone in. God, you want to talk about a defensive guy? Get that defensive coordinator out of Iowa. That guy has been making Kurt Ferentz money by getting him to the playoffs because that offense can't do shit.
Wouldn't be a bad freaking choice either.
I'm
Something like
just saying,
Vrabel.
if you're And since Dan Campbell said after the Chicago game, we're going to get more aggressive. So Dan Campbell's actually, when did Barry get fired? About 3 hours ago. Congratulations, Steve. It was the first move this morning.
I ask you this: when Ben and AG are gone, what happens with the Lions?
I don't think anything's really major's gonna happen. I think Dan Campbell's still gonna have his hand on the aggressive offense. It's his decision to go for it on fourth downs. It's his decision to do whatever we've done. Ultimately, the offensive coordinator calls the plays, but who do they come from? The coach. And ever since AG failed to get any pressure on Fields or spy Fields in that game, and we got torched and looked horrible on the road in Chicago, Dan Campbell's had his hands on the defense. And what have we looked? More aggressive, clamping down better in the red zone. 3
Okay, well, you
touchdowns.
think of it like this: who's your offensive coordinator right now? You got Ben Johnson, then your quarterback coach is Mark Brunell, and the passing game coordinator, what, Tanner Engstrand or whatever it's spelled.
Tanner Angstrom. We got tight ends coach Steve Haley, Steve Hayden. The
I
rumor that I heard that if Ben Johnson goes, the guy we're losing for his OC, I'm more upset about him leaving than Ben Johnson leaving because I think that has a bigger impact on the team. Hank Fraley,
Engstrand.
our old coach,
Ooh,
he's worked wonders with this O line ever since Decker's been here. He was hired by Caldwell's staff, retained by them, stayed with the Quintrasha era, and then came and stayed with this era because they could see the improvements in the O line every year, despite the lack of talent. And Fred Peterson said, "I love Barry in Green Bay." Yeah, we all did. As Lions fans, we saw the hiring and we were like, "Yes, we got a chance." Will Vogel pops in. It's about time. What's up, BCP? Hey, Fred, that's not funny. Yes, it is. It's very funny. I said, you watch. They've been an aggressive 70% man coverage defense the entire time. They hired Joe Barry. They're going to go 80% zone, and it's going to be soft zone where they give a 10-yard cushion to wide receivers on the outside. And they're
yeah,
going to
man,
start.
everybody's got their style they like.
All right, Dad. You have a great day. And it's time for us to. Any news on Debo? Nope. They're playing it close to the vest. They're not letting it out. It's more like 60% he's not playing, according to what the coach said, but he said, we're not making a decision yet.
Well, he's not like a vagina, man. He took a beating and he's not bouncing back.
Right. He's like Dan's ass after the computer chair broke. Hurt.
God, that hurt. It hurt for like 3 days.
Boy, that reel has gotten 836 watches on Facebook and Insta combined. And about
Lucky I
700
didn't
likes.
break my coccyx.
Yeah, you are lucky. But when you said I know how an OnlyFans girl after the basketball team shows up, that was the line of the night.
You got to be able to laugh at yourself.
Yep. Hey, you know what? Life's too damn short. If it isn't killing, if it doesn't threaten your family, threaten your money, or threaten your own life personally, guess what? It's all small shit. Don't sweat the small shit.
Yeah, exactly. And besides, man,
So,
with as much as I pick on everybody else, if I can't pick on myself too when I do something dumb,
speaking of money, it's time to pay the bills. I want to say thank you to the Lions Villain Squad for adding me to their network. We are live there on Facebook. We are also live on my channel, which is the Motor City Kneecap Biters on Facebook. I also send it straight to my profile. I also set it to @Smokin Jeremy on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. I know when they first did the brand change to X, I thought maybe somebody just grabbed my phone and jokingly put a Pornhub app on there. But
You were all excited and then got disappointed when you opened it.
I was disappointed because I opened it up. I said, "Oh, it's just my Twitter."
You can still watch porn on there though.
Oh, there's more porn on there than there is on Pornhub lately. But sorry, no, you're not supposed to laugh at your own jokes, but I find them funny. Uh,
Well, shit. If I'm
and
not gonna laugh at my own jokes, nobody is.
that's Pasty J Glazer, and I don't know what you want to compare me to, but we both got faces for radio and the voices to match. But we go live right here on camera 99% of the time, except for Lenner. He's more like 40% of the time because he is Pasty J Glazer. He's so white, if he put a sheet up behind him, he'd disappear.
I'm just under the weather today, man. I wasn't feeling me on camera.
Come on, that was funny.
Yeah.
Yes, I watch the ESPYs or the NFL awards every year, Will Vogel's. That was a very touching story about how Andrew Whitworth and Derek Barnes met when they were kids. It was a pretty cool story. That being said, it's time to pay the bills. Our sponsors. The first one is Steve's favorite. It's FTP. What does that stand for, Dan?
Fuck the Packers.
Amen. Fuck the Packers. Put an FTP in the chat for me. The other one is, of course, my boy, Los Negron out of Saginaw. He does his amazing work there. Give him a call. Schedule your appointment today. He does window tinting and auto detailing. He was voted the best one in the Tri-Cities. 989-443-9240. And as always, try every day to be a better person than you were the day before. That's the only way to make the world a better place. Starts right here. Much love to everybody in the chat. But have a great day, and make sure you go and watch Russell Wayne's talk show here shortly. I appreciate every single one of you. Don't forget to throw a like, throw a share. Let's go. Let's see if we can get to Vegas. That's gonna be my one topic the rest of the week. Oh, that was actually a server error. It was the local servers for the servers here in Michigan. We were the only ones that lost it.
I didn't lose it.
You didn't lose your broadcast on Sunday either?
Nope.
Got to watch the entire game, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, have a great day, everybody. And to quote the great John Leguizamo, as he used to say in the movie The Pest every time he left his house, peace, love, and chicken grease.